Hi, I'm Lana6, and thank you for checking out my show. Last week, I left you with discussing Dragoncon and whether or not it should continue, and this week, there are updates regarding Dragoncon. The first and biggest update is the fact that Dragoncon has officially allowed people to roll over their tickets to next year, which I think is astronomical because I know that they've done that on a case by case basis, and I've personally benefited from it a long time ago. But for them to do it widespread for pretty much anybody that's interested, I think it's pretty legit. And kudos to them on making the decision before July. I mean, they only got a few days left, but still. So, one of the other issues that has cropped up for the rollover is, well, is it happening this year? Who knows? But I think they mentioned that they're going to try to have an update within the, I guess, early July. So they have probably before the 15th of July, before it's considered late July. Middle of the month and all of the nonsense. The Sheraton actually updated their policy as well and allowed people to roll over their hotels to next year as well, which I think is awesome. Because even though I'm slightly salty that I won't get a hotel room for 2021, I'm happy that people are able to actually not lose their money. Especially for those people that are international and can't travel. Those people, I think, would be like the worst off on the whole DragonCon getting their tickets, well, the tickets not being rolled over until like a day or two ago. And the fact that the hotels are now allowing the reservations to be rolled over. Quite frankly, I think that they just didn't want to deal with credit card companies' chargebacks and anything else like that. And plus, it is excellent PR when a hotel or pretty much any hospitality, they think, well, should we not? And it's like, we probably should, because everybody else in the entire world is doing this. So good job. Now it's just the Westin and the Marriott that has not officially mentioned any policies regarding rolling over their reservations, but I imagine that there wouldn't be any issue for the Marriott. The Westin, I've never actually booked there, so I couldn't tell you whether or not they are going to do it, but I hope they do, because that would be awesome if they did. And then at that point, DragonCon as an organization might decide to say, you know what, we're just going to cancel. Which, I think the thing is now they're probably going to do it because of the number of cases, because of the plague. Yes, I'm still calling it the plague. Quite frankly, if you think about it, it's like, while there's not any like animal to human transmission, it's people to people, and people are out there wilding out because it's summertime and the sun is out and they don't want to be stuck in their houses because God forbid they don't do the things that are suggested and stay away from other people and, quite frankly, wear a mask. Granted, there are going to be exceptions like bars and restaurants because you can't really eat with a mask on. And would you really want to? But enough about that because nobody wants to talk about the plague. One of the things I actually wanted to touch on today was being a dungeon master for a online D&D group. So what's interesting about doing the DM role is it's quite interesting because I'm learning more about my character as a player while constantly examining rules, knowing how things work, and quite frankly, being very aware of different situations and forward thinking about encounters. So it's made me, quite frankly, more decisive. I'm now more in your face with my regular character that I play in another group, and it's made gameplay kind of fun. Now, the frustrating part about being a dungeon master, people don't do what it is you want them to do. Like, really, how annoying is it that You say, hey, that's a suspicious looking door. You should open it. No, we're not going to open it. Like, why not? Why won't you open it? Just open the door. It may be treasure behind it. It may be something that tries to eat you. We don't know. But nobody listens to the DM apparently. Because in my current campaign, everything that I've had planned out and mapped out is pretty much like not happening at all. Which is funny because it's like planning an event. You got 50 million pieces and quite frankly, none of it ever works out. But then somehow it does work out. So I'm holding out hope that toward the middle of the campaign there's more of a cadence and I'm actually able to guide my people in the way that they need to go. Quite frankly, the way that I've prepared for them to go, because everything else is kind of like, holy crap, on the fly. So, I am relatively new to Dungeons and Dragons, and I say relatively new because I've only been playing a couple years. Some people have been playing, 30. And even though it's taken on like a new popularity within the last few years, and I say newfound popularity because I found out about it. Typically, when I found out about things are already oversaturated. So yes, recently popular. It's annoying when that happens, to be honest. It's like I try to be at the front of all the nerdy things and all the nerdy trends, and it never pans out that way. It sucks. Yes, I'm trying not to curse so that way nobody decides to say, hey, you shouldn't say that. That's against the terms of use. Bad Lana. Oh, that should be like an alternate personality. Maybe I should do a video with Bad Lana versus Good Lana. Give out advice. Good advice or bad advice. It all depends on which card you pull. But jokingly, I mean, I guess I wouldn't. The thing is about being a dungeon master. I kid and say, hey, they should go the way I want them to go, but quite frankly, it's a very good exercise if you're a creative person and you want to learn more about how to improvise situations, come up with things, and quite frankly, that's something that's transferable to a job. And I know you're probably thinking, how the hell does a game that you play with a group of people translate into job skills? Well, let me tell you how. If you've ever tried to organize a D&D group, it's like herding cats. And not just normal cats. Like, very energetic but on catnip cats. It's like, my group initially started out as 20 people, which I thought was insane. I'm like, there's no way I can do this, but I'll try. I'm like, holy crap. First session, 5 people showed up. How many people play regularly? 4. So I have 4 regular players, and barely. Quite frankly, I don't mind the small group, but the problem with the small group is that you don't have you need a dedicated people. So you don't have a dedicated healer, you don't have a dedicated tank in certain situations, and those skills are quite useful. Like my group right now could probably use a sorcerer of some sort. Just somebody that doesn't have to be in melee range to deal with things. Because later on in my encounter, it's kind of like, that's useful. And I don't have those characters. And quite frankly, I am not playing a character in my own campaign. I got enough to keep up with. I can barely keep up with my real life, let alone a freaking fictional setting with 4 people that are trying to explore a world that you're sitting there trying to create on the fly because you're not prepared at all. Even with me preparing, I feel like I am unprepared, like completely, which is insane. So, I guess that's also a transferable job skill. dealing with situations that you cannot handle, but you do it anyway because you have no choice. So, and I'm not going to go into personal life stuff or whatever, but that not knowing how to deal with a situation and looking back on it, like, wow, I dealt with that. And then still not understanding how you dealt with it. It's kind of like that. But I guess another transferable skill would be organization, would be event planning, or let's just say you also deal with a touch of HR type of stuff. Or if somebody has an issue with another player, then they come back behind everybody else and say, hey, I have issues. I need to tell you things. It's like, okay. And then you listen to the complaints. Then you're like, how can I keep the peace? How can I keep this from imploding? Hoy. Yeah, transferable skills. Especially in corporate America. Anybody that works in office job knows very well on how that also is helpful. How do I deal with difficult people? No idea. But I'm hoping that the group is actually able to meet in person, because I think that the gameplay would probably be more beneficial for everybody, because conversation flow is probably a little bit better offline, as well as being able to see the boards, and because your tools are so limited online, and all of the fancy crap costs a lot of money, and quite frankly, I'm just not that committed to spending a lot of money on something that I do maybe once a month. And I know that, I'm pretty sure that that's blasphemy in some circles, but the reality is it's like, it's not a whole lot I can really do about that. I can only go as far as my bank account will let me. Just like, that meme that circles around the internet maybe like twice a year that says, you can go where are you going? Bank account says to the backyard. Or in my case, to the front door. But playing an RPG, playing Dungeons and Dragons is a good, fun thing. And quite frankly, it is a time sink when just going into the lore, and especially the different campaigns and the different stories and the histories of the different worlds. And it's great. But it's very overwhelming. So if you are a panicky person who is very overwhelmed quite easily, being a dungeon master is not for you. I speak from personal experience, but I'm doing it anyway because I made a commitment to the group, and I'm going to try to give them the best experience possible within my limitations. But I think that right here I'm going to call it for this episode. However, if you like, subscribe, that would be awesome, and you would be my favorite person for that hour. I mean, I can't make you my favorite person for the day, because that's a whole 24 hours that could have other people that are also my favorite people. And let me know what you think. Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons? How do you feel about your DMs? How do you feel about anything relating to Dungeons and Dragons? Or how was your day? Let me know. And I will see you guys next week.